How you doing, my gorgeous queen with your retro stripes?
My retro stripes. I'm doing fantastic. How are you, gorgeous lady with plaid?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe? I don't know. It's very cute.
Thank you. So plaid, because I always feel like plaid and flannel are like the same. Is it a thing that like all flannels are plaids, but all plaids are not flannels type of situation?
I mean, flannel is the type of fabric. It is usually a plaid pattern.
Right.
Plaid is just you can have flannel sheets that are just plain blue or like a plain color. I've had that before.
Mm-hmm.
So one is a fabric, one is a pattern.
Okay. All right. Because I always get confused because I always associate plaid with flannel, and this is not a flannel situation because it's like the summer.
Yes. No. Flannel is usually plaid, but plaid does not have to be flannel.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Fabric talk out of the way. Amazing.
Obviously, priorities
Yes.
right at the top.
How are you? How's your week been?
Good. Busy.
Always.
Yeah. Oh, it was a very, very, very chaotic week. This is going to come out like 3 weeks later, but we did have our Florida Man live show.
Yes.
Which was very fun.
So much fun. Thank you to everyone who came out.
Yes, thank you so much to everyone who came out. We had the best time.
Yeah. It was a blast. People dressed up.
I love that. Love the theme.
Brad, shout out to you and Michael and everybody who dressed like full Florida Man.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It was great. No, I had so much fun.
Yeah, it was so great. And then now we're in the countdown to Salem, baby. Our cute and creepy weekend.
It's so soon.
I know.
It feels like it's going to be tomorrow.
I know, girl. We still need a little time to prep some stuff.
Yes.
But it's fun because then now I can have more attention on spooky, witchy, Salem vibey things.
Yes. You have more time for spells.
Girl.
Yeah.
It's a dream. What about you? What have you been up to? Any Rex? Do you see anything?
I know we've both been watching Cape Fear, and it's still bananas McGee.
It's outrageous.
It's insane.
I can't.
All your comments to me about this past episode were 100% correct. It's gotten to the point where I'm almost on the side opinion that like everyone's like too dumb to live in this show. Like, I feel bad saying that, but like,
where's the lie though?
Yes, the end of this most recent episode. I'll try to leave it relatively spoiler free. But when he's freaking out, being like, "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me who my dad was?" And it's like, because you were born of an incestuous relationship, and like that's not a cute look. I feel like it's pretty obvious why no one was like,
I mean,
hi, by the way.
And maybe that's why he doesn't understand.
That's also true. It's also true.
It's a full-on hate watch at this point.
I know, but I kind of love it for that reason. I like love yelling at everyone and being like, everyone is so dumb. Why are you doing this?
Very infrequently hate watch things.
Unless it's Ryan Murphy related.
Even then, the problem with the issue with the Ryan Murphy, which I guess is a little bit similar to this one, is there was actually a lot of good stuff there. Like the performances were really good. The set design was really good.
Yeah.
Costume, like all of the production design was fantastic. And I just felt that all of the actors in the show deserved a much better show to be in than that one.
I think that's fair.
I don't know that that's necessarily the case with Cape Fear.
But yeah. Have a fun little hate watch. It's not awful. It's just, it stretches the limits of your willing suspension of disbelief. I'll say so.
Yeah. It's tough. But it is very fun if you're hate watching it with another person and you get to
100%.
discuss it. That was like, a show aside, that was actually the highlight of seeing you at the show and getting to hang out, was like talking about Cape Fear. How ridiculous it is.
I will say I watched everything but this past episode with Nico while he was visiting, and I had much more fun watching those episodes than I did watching this by myself.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was fun live texting you while I was watching it.
Yes. Yes. I watched mine super late, so I didn't end up texting you about it. But I also knew we were going to talk about it on the podcast. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yes. I know.
Hey, get that health and pension, girl.
Yeah. Get the paycheck.
Get paid.
No mad about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The real highlight for my week, besides seeing you and everybody at the live show, was I worked a Shakira concert.
How was that?
I'm not even a huge Shakira fan, honestly.
You are now, though.
She is amazing live.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, she, I guess, has like a Dorian Gray type picture of herself somewhere because she is 49 and does not look a day over 30.
Mm-hmm.
Still got moves.
Will do that to you, girl.
She still got moves. She has an amazing voice. It's so much fun. So many costume changes. At one point, she literally has like a bunch of backup dancers create like a human bicycle out of themselves for her, and she rides on top of them. Go see Shakira. I'm telling you.
I love it.
It's wild. And you got to stay for the encore. If you did not see the giant inflatable wolf, you left too soon.
So for She-Wolf?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Another, it's one of those things like, am I spoiling the concert if you're going to go see it?
No.
I don't care. At the end of the show, so like a lot of acts, they drop confetti once it's over. It's usually literal confetti, little strips of paper. Billie Eilish, it was like little, like restroom door symbols.
Oh, cute. Okay.
Shakira drops fake $100 bills with her face on it, and they are real size.
Yeah. Right.
10 out of 10. Like, no notes. She's amazing. Again, I'm like not even a big Shakira fan. I know like the hits, and usually they're like songs she's on with other people.
Ah, right. Yeah. You're not Spanish. Sorry. I forgot sometimes.
I am not Spanish, Monique.
You're not. No. Yeah. Because I was like, I've been on the Shakira train for a long time. And I was like, oh,
because you understand what she's saying.
Spanish first and then crossed over. She did, it was like late 90s. There was an MTV like VMA award ceremony where she did this performance. It was for her album Donde Están los Ladrones, which is like Where Are the Thieves, which is it was like her her first like really big breakout album. It's incredible. Every single song on that album is like incredible. And there's a song that she sings called Ojos Así, which is Eyes Like Those. And basically, like, it's a very sexy song. And it's about, like, I've looked all over the world for eyes like yours. But it's like Shakira sexy. It's not like, it's like high energy and this, that. And, and she's, you can look up, you could YouTube this. And she is, singing about blah, blah, blah. And she does her like belly dance or whatever. And then she grabs the microphone stand and like gets down on her knees and is like straddling this microphone stand and is singing. And you're like,
yeah,
Shakira.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she is.
She made me want to learn Spanish. I was like, can I just learn Spanish from Shakira songs? Like, is that possible? Because like, I need to be connected with this woman somehow.
I would advise to not use Shakira songs if you're going to learn Spanish.
What?
As someone
what?
Who speaks Spanish, she
because I'm going to sound like...
No, not even that. There's like certain songs where it's almost like rapping. She's so fast that I can't sing it. I can't keep up with, and I know what she's saying because and you're like, holy
okay. I thought you were going to say because they're so sexy that like everything I said would just be like wildly inappropriate to people.
I mean, yeah, but Spanish people don't give they're like, that's great.
That's true.
Yeah, no. So if you do want to learn Spanish, I don't advise a lot of Shakira songs because she sings really, really, really fast with certain songs. No, I love her. I love Fijación Oral Volume 1 because she did like in the early aughts, it was like oral fixation, but that was like Volume 2 was basically like the English version of Volume 1. Volume 1 was much better.
Obviously.
Because there's just also like because basically she did the songs in Spanish and then like translated them, right? And there's just a different poetry to the chosen language that she wrote these songs in, right? I love her. I've never seen her live, actually. I know.
Bucket list item. Like, I don't know where she's going to be next, how long she's going to be touring, but like if he can finagle that, like, go, you will not be
All right,
disappointed.
I gotta figure that out.
It's so good.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have for this week.
I mean, that's
what about
plenty.
you? Did you do anything
That's
fun?
amazing.
Any recs?
No, I just I rewatched the Nick comfort show. I hadn't seen it in a maybe like a year or two. I try to watch it like every year. It's so good. It's so good. And I will say, progress. This was the first time I watched the Nick where I was like, oh, Clive Owen's character isn't passionate. He's on like I can actually tell he's on. So
sometimes those two things get confusing. I get it.
So I couldn't really read that before. It was just like, oh yeah, he's so intense and passionate. And I was like, oh no, he's like on like yeah. It's like my 10th rewatch of the Nick.
That's so funny.
Yes.
You sweet baby angel.
You know.
Oh my God.
Because all roads lead to Widow's Bay adjacent. I decided to look up the writer-creators of the show. And they like did like a lot of like rom-coms and stuff, which was prior to the Nick, which I think is fabulous. But the other like thing that they did that I was enjoying was they also created the Perry Mason TV series with Matthew Rhys.
Makes sense. Yeah, he's in that.
And it's very tonally similar and period, not the same period. Yeah.
As the Nick or as Widow's Bay?
Oh, no, it's the Nick. Not
okay. I was going to say, I did not remember that being, I feel like I only watched a couple episodes, but I feel like I did not remember that being like funny.
No. Nothing is tonally similar to Widow's Bay. That's why it's magical. No. No, it's totally similar to the Nick, which I love. And then I was like, all of that makes sense. So I never saw the second season of Perry Mason. So that might be my go back and just watch the 2 seasons of Perry Mason just because I need Matthew Rhys in my life. Because I think we all do. All of the Instagram targeted content is just not enough to satiate my love of Widow's Bay and Matthew Rhys.
It's never enough, Monique.
No.
It's never enough.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
All right. On that note, do you have a spooky, creepy, what the paranormal story for me this week?
I do. I don't think it's what I think it's very like. There you go. What did you expect?
Okay. We around and found out? Is that a little bit?
I think this is the most egregious story of around and finding out that we've ever covered.
We have done some really egregious stories about around and finding out.
You let me know at the end of it.
Okay.
You let me know.
I'm like so excited.
We're also like almost 6 years deep, so I definitely forget stories, but I'm not recalling one where it was like this bad.
Okay. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's go, baby. Okay. Sources: Wikipedia, headlines.ametsoc.org, which is the American Meteorological Society's website, emergingcivilwar.com, usghosthunters.com, mayoclinic.org, and the Spooked Podcast.
Heyo.
Love them.
We're getting meteorological in this?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, first of all, sploosh. I love weather. Let's go.
Same, oddly. We didn't need to get too into it, but I was like, let's find out a little bit more about this. So we did.
She was like, let's give Amy what she wants. We know. Okay.
Because I adore you. So Trina had recently gotten engaged. While the wedding planning was underway, the couple bounced around ideas as to where to go for their honeymoon. While most newlyweds opt for tropical locales or world-renowned romantic destinations, the teacher knew that her soon-to-be husband wanted to go somewhere with a lot of history. He had an archaeology degree after all, so the couple decided to go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Sure.
Uh-huh.
There are so many beautiful places in the world with so much more history than Gettysburg. Go to Greece. Go to Italy. Like, okay, sure. I love that for you.
I've never been to Gettysburg. I'm pretty sure
it's fine.
Our queen, Angie, lives in Gettysburg or Gettysburg adjacent. Love you, Angie. Hey, queen. I've wanted to go as someone who watched every haunted history
Yeah,
episode on Gettysburg.
I went when I was a kid.
Is that a honeymoon for me? No.
No,
But, I'm not everyone is me. And
that's true.
that's,
I love that. Just like Europe has so much more history. Everywhere else has so much more history.
I mean, I don't know if
Maybe that
he,
was his like specialty or like,
yeah, maybe
okay,
he liked
sure,
yeah, maybe
sure.
because Trina doesn't really talk a ton about her husband.
Okay. Okay, Trina.
Trina's a vibe. So, for those who don't know, the Battle of Gettysburg took place between July 1st and 3rd in 1863 during the American Civil War. The Union Army won the battle, which is widely considered to be the turning point of the Civil War, leading the North's ultimate victory and the preservation of the United States. That being said, the Battle of Gettysburg was the bloodiest battle of both the Civil War and of any battle in American military history up until that point, claiming over 50,000 combined casualties. It is said that so many men died on the battlefield in Gettysburg that 4 months later, vultures and hogs were still feeding on their corpses.
Oh, oh my God. Was this the
Girl.
battle too where like, because I know this was big in the Civil War, where people would like put out blankets, like picnic blankets, and they would go like watch the battles from like the sidelines and or no?
I mean, it didn't say explicitly, but given that very shortly I'm going to talk about like firsthand accounts,
Okay,
maybe.
probably. Sure.
Unsurprisingly, Gettysburg is considered to be one of the most haunted places in the United States, with countless reports of sightings of apparitions in uniform and Civil War nurses spending the afterlife searching for wounded soldiers to tend to.
Oh, I hate that.
I know, which is very sweet, but I'm like, girl, I'm off the clock. Like,
Yeah, like I don't want to do this for eternity. Like, no.
any place with that much history and tragedy is bound to have tours. So Trina and her husband took several of the historical walking tours, as well as one ghost tour. And Trina said, quote, "That was my husband's idea. He's a believer. He does watch the ghost hunting shows. I'm a lot more of a skeptic. I'm always going to look for the logical explanation versus just drinking the Kool-Aid." End quote. Number one, it's Flavor Aid. Number two, I'm going to go ahead and spoil this right at the tippy top. I can't stand Trina. I think she sucks. I can't stand people like her. There's being a skeptic and then there's being an and as I'm going to get into it, Trina firmly falls into the latter category.
Okay.
I can't stand Trina at all.
Damn,
Bold
read
italics
this girl
underlined.
for filth, Monique. I love it.
I can't stand her.
God. Okay. I'm really more excited about the story now.
So that evening, Trina and her husband met up with the tour group that consisted of their tour guide and a handful of other tourists. The group headed to an area on the battlefield where Union nurses treated the wounded soldiers. To get there, they made their way across a covered bridge down an empty road, using their phone flashlights to illuminate their way. Trina explained that the road dips down and curves before flattening out, bisecting two fields. On one side of the road, there was an open field, and on the other side was a field with trees that was right by Plum Run Creek. The open field was used for battle, while the other was used as a makeshift field hospital so that doctors, nurses, and wounded men could more easily access the fresh water from the creek. However, as the battle wound down on July 3rd, 1863, later that evening, a thunderstorm broke out. Professor Michael Jacobs, who witnessed the battle and had a strong interest in studying and recording the weather, noted that, quote, "The thunder seemed tame after the artillery firing of the afternoon," end quote, which,
Damn.
The following day, on July 4th, the day after the Battle of Gettysburg ended, the weather intensified, with heavy torrential rains pouring down throughout the day. Low-lying areas like Plum Run Creek quickly overflowed, washing open the shallow graves where fallen soldiers had been hastily buried.
Oh, no.
As the creek's water rose higher and higher, the injured soldiers tried to drag themselves towards higher land to safety. Some made it, and some didn't. Can you imagine?
No, I was literally just going to say I can't even
make
imagine.
it through the deadliest battle in the war, and you're like, okay. And then you're going to drown by a creek bed?
So awful. Such an awful way to go. No.
A Gettysburg resident named Sarah Broadhead wrote in her diary, quote, "Men wounded in 3 or 4 places, not able to help themselves the least bit, lay almost swimming in water. Some of the men made it. Some of them drowned right there on what should have been dry land," end quote.
Oh, that's so awful.
So the ghost tour that Trina and her husband were on stopped on the field adjacent to this one. They were on the other side of the road.
Okay.
And Trina clarified that it wasn't so much a ghost tour as the guide brought you out to the area, gave you a brief history of the land, and handed you an EMF reader and was like, go out and explore and investigate on your own. So for those of you who don't know, an EMF reader is a tool that measures and detects invisible electromagnetic fields in the air. It can pick up magnetic fields and radio frequency radiation emitted from everyday technology like power lines, appliances, Wi-Fi routers, and cell phones. But paranormal investigators believe that EMF readers can also pick up the presence of ghosts who cause disturbances in these fields. For everyone who's going to Salem, we're definitely going to have some EMF readers when we do our paranormal investigation.
Yeah.
So electromagnetic fields are measured in milligauss. And if you haven't seen what an EMF reader looks like, it basically looks like a remote control. And at the top of it, there's a series of lights that go from green to red, red meaning high levels of milligauss. And it makes a noise, to show how much milligauss is being picked up. When using an EMF detector during a ghost hunt, you need to establish a baseline reading of the environment that you're investigating to establish what's the normal amount of EMF in the area. And you can do this by walking around the area and recording the lowest and highest readings you get, then averaging the 2 numbers. Then whenever you get a spike in your readings, you can compare it to your baseline. And when using your EMF detector, you want to walk around slowly to see if you experience any changes in the electromagnetic field, steadily moving the reader around to various positions to seek out changes in the environment. When you notice shifts or spikes in EMF, you follow them, record your readings to find out where the strongest sources are. When using an EMF reader for a paranormal investigation, the big thing is you want to avoid false readings by keeping your ghost hunting equipment away from any digital or electrical devices emitting electromagnetic fields. Again, cell phones, electronics, or even wiring in the walls can be blamed for false readings. So when your EMF reader picks up an energy spike, you always want to just be sure to rule out any other factors or logical explanations. But this ghost tour that Trina and company were on was in the middle of a field in Gettysburg at 10 o'clock at night. So they weren't really going to have any issues picking up any rogue electromagnetic fields. The group was told that in addition to using the EMF reader to detect the presence of a spirit, it could also be used as a means to communicate by asking questions and instructing any spirits to manipulate the EMF reader to spike once for yes or twice for no. Trina said, quote, "It wasn't that high tech. This is not like the future of ghost hunting. My husband had it almost the whole time. See, it was his thing. I was like, you take the little box. You do your thing with them. I was pretty bored pretty quick with it," end quote.
This girl's a wet blanket. I don't like this.
She's insufferable. Also, this is her honeymoon.
Yeah.
This is who you're married to. That you're like, oh, I'm interested in this thing. We're doing this thing. And then they're just doing this the whole time.
I hate that. At least
the worst.
You cannot believe it and still have fun with it and go along with it.
Or just not even saying the first time I ever went on a ghost tour, I went to Charleston. I was on a family vacation with my parents, with my family. It was a 2-week-long cruise. And my bestie Christina, the year before, had gone to Charleston. She was like, Charleston's supposed to be haunted as and they do ghost tours here. And this is when when everyone else in high school was having sex and doing drugs, the two of us were watching Ghost Hunters and and being enthralled and obsessed with it. So when I found out that we were going to Charleston, I begged my dad. I was like, please, 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 The only thing I'm going to ask is, could we please go on a ghost tour when we're in Charleston? And my dad, who was like not into any of this kind of was like, yep. And he like listened to every story and was like very respectful, even though it wasn't his thing. It was like, it was my thing. Now, were my older brother and my mother the worst the entire time? Yes. They were like making fun, laughing. Like, it doesn't have to be your thing. Just be like respectful of the person you claim to care about if it's their thing. That's it.
That's not a crazy thing to ask.
No, it's like kind of bare minimum.
Okay, I don't like Trina either now.
Trina sucks.
Sorry, Trina.
I'm not. You. I do not like, I'm not here for Trina at the all. So the guide told everyone in the group that they could stay close by and investigate with them, or that they could wander off on their own and explore. And Trina said, quote, "I'm not a people person." Shocker.
Yeah.
"I don't like being with strangers. And so I was like, let's get out of here. Let's go find our own corner of this field," end quote. So Trina and her husband crossed the road onto the opposite field where all those wounded soldiers had drowned by the creek bed.
Oh no, we're around and finding out.
No, you don't know. You know.
Oh my God. Okay.
And given that Trina is like the worst and wasn't into any of this, and again, she's not the worst because she's not into any of this. She's the worst because she's being an about it.
Yeah.
And again, it's
her honeymoon.
Their honeymoon.
Yeah.
It's not just her honeymoon. It's her husband's honeymoon. And they agreed to this. So don't be an about it.
Yeah.
Or don't go. I don't know. Like, there's so many things that it could have been handled any other way except the way that Trina consistently chooses to handle it. And so, again, she's not into it. So her husband's the one holding the EMF reader and asking questions. He was asking things like, did you die in battle? Did you die when the creek flooded? And Trina, being the total hater that she is, at some point says, if I were a ghost, I would be pretty irritated with people coming around and asking me questions all the time. Telling the Spook podcast, quote, "So side cook comedy relief was my role," end quote. 1, it's sidekick and comedic relief. 2, no, you're not being funny. You're being annoying and a hater and a blowhard towards something that your brand new husband has expressed interest in. The literal bare minimum you can do is show the man you supposedly love some respect, even if it's not your thing. Like, literally bare minimum. Marriage isn't off to a great start. I'd be really shocked if they're still married. Just saying.
I mean, yeah, I'm getting that impression. Yeah.
Because 3, Trina's the worst and I can't with her. So after Trina makes that comment to the supposed ghost, her husband asks it, "Are you irritated with us?" The EMF reader spikes once. Yes. He followed that up with, "Are you angry with us?" Yes. He then asked, "Do you want to hurt us?" Yes. Trina said, quote, "Even after it was like, yeah, I want to hurt you, I wasn't really fazed by that. I'm not a big believer. And so I was just like, okay, whatever," end quote.
I don't think they want to hurt this guy. I think they want to hurt Trina because I kind of want to hurt her right now.
Yeah, girl.
Just throwing that out there, you know.
But Trina realized that she wasn't being obnoxious enough during this whole experience, which again is their honeymoon. So she started teasing her husband, saying that they should take a ghost home with them as a souvenir.
Don't say that.
Unsurprisingly, Trina said, quote, "My husband did not find this funny. He was like, you need to take that back." I was like, no, I'll make it coffee and we'll set up a cot in the office. It can live with us. You know, again, my husband's like, do not do this. This is not funny. You are inviting something dangerous, which just made me double down. I was like, no. It can come back in the car with us. Let's bring this thing home, end quote.
She is the worst.
She's the worst.
I'd be like, marriage over. I'm leaving right now. I don't
I'm
like
leaving
any
your
of
ass
this.
here with the ghost, and I'm going.
Yeah. I'll drive back by myself.
Eventually, the tour guide crossed the road and came looking for Trina and her husband, asking them if they were okay. Confused, they said yes, why wouldn't they be? To which their guide informed them that they don't go into that field, saying, quote, because there are evil spirits that have hurt people. We've had people get scratched and hit in that field, end quote.
I feel like he didn't mention this. Maybe she's leaving that part out, but
I mean, I'm assuming because it's two fields that they're like, I didn't think you were going into the other field. Like
the
we're
evil
in this
field. Yeah.
Why are you crossing the road?
Yeah, that's true.
You're not a chicken. What's happening? Stay in this field.
I didn't think I needed to tell you not to go in that field.
Because it's also like the other field has like trees and it's like you have like one field that's like almost like a football field that's just like flat. And you can see the whole thing. And then it's like, why the would you go over there? I don't know. I'm assuming. I'm assuming a lot.
I have no idea. Okay,
except
whatever.
that Trina's the worst.
She's
That's
the
just
worst.
a fact. As the couple headed back with their guide, Trina admitted that she got a very ominous feeling. Quote, that thing you get where you feel like something's watching you. I wouldn't say fear, but definitely ominous. Like something suddenly was very heavy and something is pressing down on you. This dread, like, maybe I should walk a little faster, end quote. When she and her husband got back to their car, he gave her a talking to and insisted that they stage their hotel room. And given Gettysburg haunted reputation, turns out the pair had no problem finding a shop that sold the spiritual cleanser. Thing is, even though Trina's husband respected the supernatural, he didn't really know how to properly sage or cleanse a space.
Oh, no.
Because yes, he lit it and smudged their hotel room, but he didn't open any of the windows or doors when he did, meaning that there was no place for any of the bad energy to go. It was just kind of circulating in the room.
Honestly, I don't think I even realized you had to do that.
Yeah, and
I'm going to be real. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like you're smoking it out.
Yeah.
And Trina said, quote, he's just waving the sage around. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like, oh, I'm going to sneak it home in my luggage, end quote.
She is
the
insufferable.
Can you imagine this being your honeymoon?
I feel bad for her husband, but like I want this to get haunted so badly.
10,000%.
Yeah.
Like I would be like important to know, we never get her husband's name because she never refers to him by name.
Interesting. I wonder if that's because they're divorced and she did not get his permission to use his name.
I don't know.
She's just that self-centered.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Either way.
And Trina's husband was not here for that and demanded that she take it back. But Trina's and a blowhard. So she said, quote, I was like, I'm not doing that. That is ridiculous. He was like, take it back. You have to say out loud that you're uninviting this ghost. I did finally do it to make him happy. However, I don't know if I necessarily put the correct emotion behind it when I did it. I wasn't worried something followed us home, end quote. That is until weird started happening.
Yeah, unsurprisingly.
And I love how she's like, I don't know that I necessarily put the correct emotion behind it. You mean you didn't apologize? You didn't mean it?
Genuinely?
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I think we all know that's what happened.
Do you know what an apology is, Trina? Because it sounds like you don't.
No. Her apology, I feel like, would be the kind of apology where it's like, I'm sorry you got upset.
100%. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So when they got back home to their apartment after their trip, Trina took a shower. The water had warmed up and she was washing her hair when all of a sudden, she was almost scalded with a sudden blast of boiling hot water. She said that the water was hot enough that it had turned her skin red.
Okay.
Do I feel bad?
Not really.
No. It happened the next time Trina showered. And the next. And the next. And it just kept happening. Trina said, quote, every shower was me ducking in and out, trying to figure out when I was going to get blasted by hot water so I could jump out of the way, end quote. Again, worth noting, Trina doesn't mention whether or not her husband also had the same experience with the shower. And I feel it could go either way. One, her husband only had pleasant showers at the desired water temperature because he was not a blowhard and out antagonizing ghosts for zero reason. Or 2, he did experience the same thing, but Trina is clearly inconsiderate as and only cares about herself. That it literally didn't even occur to her to mention that her husband was also suffering because of her. I feel it could go either way. Personally, I hope it's the former.
Yeah, I hope her husband was not affected by this. And the ghosts were like, actually, you were like really nice and we can be friends, but like your wife's a and hell hath no fury like a ghost scorned. So
I would love if the husband had his own thing and he's like, yeah, when I would get out of the shower and like in the like mirror, it would just be spelled out like dump her.
Divorce her. I would love that.
Yes. So when they called the super to fix it, they couldn't find a problem. They checked out the shower and the water heater, but they couldn't find anything wrong with that either. None of their neighbors had made any complaints about similar issues. This seemed to be a strictly Trina problem. Not only that, following their trip to Gettysburg, the light bulbs throughout their apartment started blowing out at an insane rate. She said that any light bulb in the kitchen, bathrooms, directly above the sinks, or anywhere there was water would burn out every other week.
That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
I don't have time to be buying all these goddamn light bulbs.
Just apologize to the ghost.
Yeah. And call a priest party.
And not only that, also, like, she was like, I'll make the ghost coffee and get it a cot. I don't think she made the ghost coffee once. It could be like, where the my coffee?
Yeah.
You said I could come home with you.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
here's your coffee, here's your
paper. Do you want a French roast? Like, what do you want?
Milk and sugar? Like, what's going on? A little latte?
Little cappuccino? Americano?
Oh, Trina. I love this. I
So
don't feel bad for her.
I don't at all. I don't at all. And just kept getting weirder. One time, Trina had put a cup of water in the microwave to make tea. She set the timer for 2 minutes, walked out of the kitchen into the living room where she was watching TV, when suddenly there was a loud bang, and the microwave door had flown open. And apparently it was like she had to close it because it was still going. It wasn't at the end of the 2 minutes. Which I know
it doesn't do that.
Right, because there's like a mechanism to prevent that.
Yeah,
so you're
not,
melting yourself. And
Trina, open your eyes. You piss the ghost off. Like, do something.
Sort your life out.
Yes.
Look at your life and look at your choices, Trina.
Step 1, apologize. Like, just apologize and mean it.
It's actually the sign of a really mature person who can apologize to another person, living or dead.
Yes.
Just saying. Just saying.
Oh, no. Okay.
There was another incident where she was boiling water to make pasta. She put the pot on the stovetop, turned on the hood vent, and walked out of the kitchen into the living room. Quote, I heard a click, some subtle noise that made me look back in the kitchen, and that's when I saw a column of water erupt out of the pan. Solid mass of water that exploded up, hit the vent hood, and then it was like a geyser, and then splashed down and overtopped the stove. I ran back into the kitchen and took the pan off the stove. And there was just water everywhere. It was dripping off the hood. It was pooled on the countertops. This wasn't an isolated incident. It did happen multiple times. And it was almost the same scenario every time, where I would put the water on, I would step away, some subtle sound would make me look over, and then there would be a column of water shooting out of the pan, end quote.
How do you explain that? Water's not going to boil like that. Like, what?
Mm-mm. Well, she said that this type of thing usually happened when she was in the living room or the dining room. Trina recalled that there was one time that it happened while she was standing at the sink in the kitchen. Trina was racking her brain, trying to figure out what was causing this. Was it something that she was doing? Yeah, heckling a ghost.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the pan she used. So she'd switch out the pan the next time she boiled water, but guess what? It didn't matter what pan or pot she used. It just kept happening. She said these strange occurrences happened on about a monthly basis. where there had been just enough time between these unsettling incidents that it would lure you into a false sense of security, where you think, okay, that's the end of it, before some other crazy, unexplainable happened. It reminds me in Beetlejuice when the dad, Charles Dietz, is like talking to, I think, Maxie Dean about the shit that's happening in the house. It's like, oh yeah, it's like all nice. And it's like, they say that the ghosts leave and then the paint peels and some wild creature tries to kill us. uh, it gave me that.
I can't believe she's still trying to
100%.
rationalize this.
100%. Yeah. On another occasion, Trina was in the kitchen cooking, and she explains that in the corner of the kitchen, they have a stand that has the microwave on top of it. And the microwave comes up to about Trina's chest, and on top of the microwave, there's a vase and a kitchen timer shaped like a gray cat. On this one particular evening, Trina was cooking on the stove, and she heard what sounded like something sliding on the metal on the microwave behind her. When she turned around, the kitchen timer was eye level with her. She said, quote, "It went from top of the microwave about 8 inches to a foot, and it held there for a second, long enough for me to look it in its little kitty eyes, and then it dropped to the floor. You turn around and an inanimate object is looking you in the eye. Even if it was just for a split second, you get that feeling come over you. I stopped dead in my tracks and my stomach dropped. I don't think it would be possible to not get a little creeped out at this point." End quote. At that point.
A little?
At that point? Ma'am? What is happening right now?
There's floating in the air in front of your face. Open your eyes. I am so curious what her husband was saying during all of this. I'm sure she doesn't talk about it because obviously.
We're going to get into it in a little bit.
Okay.
It's like a quick again.
I would be berating her every day, being like, you did this. You angered the ghosts. You were running your mouth.
You invited them home.
And now
this
we're
was
haunted.
Not a situation prior to us going to Gettysburg and you running your mouth.
Yep. Okay.
Trina admitted that she wasn't telling her friends or family about the frequent supernatural goings-on in her home, saying, quote, "You're already entertaining the fact that your apartment's haunted, that you've probably invited a hostile energy into your home. There's all those fears. On the other hand, there's also the very real fear that you're flipping your and if you tell anybody about it, they will view you as a crazy person." End quote. Okay.
Sure. But your husband's a believer, so he'll believe you.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I think this is what I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess all of this happened to Trina very exclusively. And she didn't tell her husband because she didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, because she was like, oh, he's going to tell me this is my fault. And it totally is, but I don't like that.
I can't I can't be wrong. I can't apologize. That's insane. Who does that?
Because this is silly. This doesn't happen. Okay. I want to fight this woman.
Yeah, 100%. I hate her. A lot. A lot.
I get it. No, I get it now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've ever done a story where I actively hated the person in the paranormal story.
Same. Yeah. This is a first for me. And I had this one saved for a bit. And then when I revisited it, I was like, oh my, I'm so mad. I really don't like her.
Trina's the worst.
Girl. One night, Trina and her husband had some friends over to watch a documentary about a haunting. And because Trina apparently still hasn't learned her lesson, she said there was, quote, a lot of joking taking place, end quote. The friends eventually left and her husband went to bed while Trina stayed in the living room around on her phone. She said it was a little after 3 a.m. when she heard crashing sounds coming from their laundry area. She said, quote, "It literally sounded like a car had crashed through this laundry room. There was that initial crash, and then it hit the sliding doors, and then there was the crashing of a couple of glass objects hitting the top of the washer and shattering, and then the final sound was just sort of like a thunking as something hit the doors and snaked down to the floor. I did let out a scream and froze for a minute. I went over and opened the doors. I just saw, oh man, it was bad because it was just laundry detergent was everywhere. The cap had busted off and it was pooling into the carpet. I was alone in the living room and this happened. I really didn't have too many reservations about going ahead and contributing it to the ghost at this point, end quote. But even with all that, even with her just saying like, okay, the ghost did it, she still tried to find a logical explanation for it.
Serious?
She looked for the holes in the wall. She examined the wire shelf, but the shelf had been screwed into the studs in the wall. Trina asked her siblings, who are engineers, for assistance in debunking what had happened in the laundry room, but they couldn't come up with an explanation.
Trina? Listen to the engineers. Like, weird happening.
And here's the thing. I am all for trying to find a logical explanation.
Of course.
Always. But there's a point and there's so much where you're like, we just got to call a spade here.
Yeah. This is beyond explanation. Like,
get the coconuts, please party this.
The ghosts have entered the chat. Like, hey, okay.
You added them to the chat.
Yes.
They're like, I'm just living my Gettysburg life right now.
You sent them an invite. Like,
you wanted the ghost souvenir.
This is why, again, I am skeptical first and foremost, but I do not around.
No. I think it's also just like a level of respect. If you don't understand something.
Yes.
It's the same with like the ocean or the wilderness. Respect that.
Yeah.
Respect that. You're in their land now. You're in their territory. Trina did finally concede, saying, quote, I knew there was probably something supernatural occurring. I knew it was hostile, but I wasn't walking around in fear, obviously. The only time I was afraid is when the health problems started, end quote.
Oh, no.
So Trina suffers from sleep apnea, which is a common medical condition where a person's breathing repeatedly stops for extended periods of time while you sleep. People who suffer from sleep apnea typically have to use a CPAP machine when they sleep. CPAP uses mild air pressure to keep your breathing airways open while you sleep, delivering a continuous and steady stream of air through a connected hose and face mask. Some CPAP machines, like the one that Trina used, have a water tank in it to add moisture to the air to prevent your nose and throat from getting dry. Trina said that the hose from her CPAP machine would fly off in the middle of the night for no apparent reason. Trina said that she doesn't move much when she sleeps, so it wasn't that she was pulling the hose off, and that this had never happened prior to her trip to Gettysburg. And all of a sudden, this was a regular occurrence. Trina said, quote, the thing that helped me breathe would suddenly stop, end quote.
Yeah, because the ghosts are trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you ran your mouth.
The worst. And you can't.
And I kind of can't blame them. Like, sorry.
Just say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I f***ed up. I didn't realize. Would you like your French, drip coffee now?
Yeah. I'll get the cot out of the garage.
I hear that there are people who have like a very friendly relationship with the entities in their home.
Yeah.
For instance, I found out recently that Guillermo del Toro, when he goes house hunting, he asks if the house is haunted. And if they say no, he won't buy it. So
I love that so much.
It's fantastic. Am I doing that? Probably not. No. But he's like, yeah, we can be cute about this. We can cohabitate.
Respectful.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, Amy. But things with Trina's breathing only got worse when one day while she was on the phone with her husband, she said that the two spoke and, quote, my chest felt very heavy and I started getting some pain. And then as I was breathing, the pain increased. We hung up and it kept getting worse until I couldn't move without searing pain. My whole chest felt very heavy. And then there was these stabbing pains, end quote. Her mother eventually took her to the ER where she was diagnosed with pneumonia. However, when the doctors told her, you have pneumonia, this peach said, quote, no, I don't. I haven't been sick, end quote. Because that's
You're not a doctor, man.
How that works, apparently.
Yeah.
I just really need the record to reflect how much I Trina. I just hate it. I'm sorry. Are you a doctor, ma'am? No.
You've got poltergeist pneumonia. I don't know what to tell you.
At that point, 2 pulmonary specialists informed Trina that for some reason, fluid in her body had accumulated to the point where it was crushing her heart and putting pressure on her lungs, limiting her ability to breathe.
I am like weirdly so impressed with these ghosts. Like these ghosts are not around.
I mean, kind of same. I don't wish people bad, but I'm also like,
no,
girl, if you around to this extent and you find out, I really don't know what to tell you.
And here's the thing. They've been giving her, from what I could tell, plenty of warnings and opportunities to right her wrongs. And she's still not getting it. She still doesn't believe. So that's on you. That's a you problem.
Zero Lies detected, Amy. Trina was telling her nieces and nephew about her trip to the ER, and it appears that at some point prior to this, she had finally come clean about her behavior in Gettysburg and everything that was happening, when her nephew says to her, you do realize that you've suddenly developed this condition where you are drowning and you have a ghost that came from a watery field where they drowned. Like, are you not getting the connection here?
I wasn't even really thinking about the fact that that's what pneumonia is doing to you. Oh my God, 100%.
And all the with water, the CPAP machine with the water, the light bulbs in the kitchen above the everything is water, 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 water.
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm like just now putting this together. I just was like, they're fucking around with the water. Yeah.
Yeah, with water.
Wow. Yes. 100%. That's what's going on.
Your nephew, who I'm assuming, informed speculation, is probably significantly younger than you.
Yes.
Trina said, quote, all the men in that field died of drowning. And basically, I was drowning in my own fluids, end quote. Now, if you think this would be the moment where Trina learned something, you'd be dead ass wrong, because homegirl then goes on to say, quote, I don't know if I would say I brought it on myself.
Excuse me.
Girl.
This woman needs a therapist so badly.
It's outrageous. It's actually outrageous.
She's like certifiable. This is some like narcissism or something. I don't know what's going on. You 100% brought it on yourself. What are you actually talking about?
She says, I don't know if I would say I brought it on myself. I do acknowledge my responsibility and that I invited something to my home that I shouldn't have. I will own what I did, but I won't take responsibility for a spirit's actions. End quote. Shut the up, Trina. I hope you get haunted for the rest of your life.
Right?
She's the worst.
She's the worst. I want to fight her.
Yeah, she's the worst. Trina got treatment and recovered from her pneumonia. The couple eventually bought a new house and packed their things. But shortly before they moved out, Trina was alone in the apartment when she heard something moving around in her bedroom. She opened the bedroom door and saw a black mass sliding across the floor. Quote, and when I say black, I mean absolute black, void of all color, deep abyss black, end quote. She said the figure was flat against the ground and looked like someone took black paper and cut it into a shape of a man and slid it along the floor. Saying, quote, I know.
Like the trying to climb out of the river. Oh.
She said, quote, I could see its profile, but there were no eyes. There were 2 hands with elongated fingers, very pointed at the end, very angular nose, very angular chin, end quote. The apartment Trina and her husband lived in faced a pond. She said the figure glided across the floor at a diagonal and moved towards the pond, towards the water. Trina said, quote, this was no longer a phenomenon that you could maybe explain in some capacity. Girl, we left that like 80 incidents ago.
Yeah, we left it in Gettysburg. Like, where have you been?
Girl. This was flat out, you saw a ghost. I sure as hell wasn't going to walk down the hallway and go find out where it went. I had no illusion that it was leaving. I just shut the door and I went to bed, end quote. When moving day came, the couple was determined to not bring any more unwelcome guests with them to their new home. Before they left, Trina's husband once again saged the apartment, but this time he made sure to open all the windows and doors so whatever had come home with them could leave. And Trina's husband saged their new place, just in case. And Trina's happy to report that none of the crazy that happened at their previous apartment has happened in their new home, saying with a sigh of relief, quote, "I do think it's very possible that we left our souvenir at the apartment," end quote. Except that shortly after Trina and her husband moved into their new house, the basement flooded. And even though she's had 3 companies over to the new house, none of them have been able to explain how the water is getting in. And that is the story of Trina, who joked about taking a ghost home as a souvenir and got that and then some.
This is still haunted, and I'm like weirdly so excited about it.
Same. I just hope that her and her husband are divorced and that he's not dealing with any of this.
Yeah, that was egregious.
No.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you can remember any other incident around and finding out to this degree, but it's like.
And definitely not with just like this blasé attitude of like
I'm not gonna like, I didn't bring this on myself.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Okay, Trina.
Yeah. I like wanted to punch her through my Apple Podcast app.
I don't blame you.
It's just the worst.
Yeah, this is like the epitome of around and finding out.
And that even like now, like in this moment, she's still like, I mean, yeah, I invited home, but like, I'm not going to be responsible for their actions. Ma'am? No. But I also love that she's still haunted.
Whatever you need to tell yourself. This woman is delusional, though.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, again, like such a wet blanket. I would not want to go anywhere with this person.
No! She's the worst.
Yeah.
Do you know how many baseball games I've been to with significant others that I literally couldn't give about? And I was never an asshole.
No! Because you're a joy and a delight.
Thank you. Sometimes I would ask what was going on to get a little clarity so that if I was going to be there for 4 hours, I could understand a little bit what was happening.
That's so
but that
cute.
Was like not being like, oh, this is, I mean, I do think that Yankees suck, Red Sox suck thing is nonsense, especially when the Red Sox and the Yankees are not playing in the game.
Yeah.
That just like the random chants I think are ridiculous. Because people just need to grow up. But like other than that,
just go to have a drink, eat a hot dog, like cheer when everyone else is cheering and like relax.
Yeah. This doesn't affect you in any way.
No.
Until when you start doing this and then it does. Just apologize.
Just apologize and mean it.
I didn't use the right emotion. You mean you didn't apologize? You didn't mean it?
Again, I'm sorry you guys got mad by what I said.
She's the worst.
She's the worst.
She's the worst, yeah.
As much as I hated her, I loved that story.
Thank you.
This was like a hate listen thing for me.
Oh my God, we started Cape Fear.
Yeah. Where I was like hating her the whole time and being like, yeah, you deserve everything that's happening to you.
Yeah.
But I love this.
Yeah. I love a Gettysburg spooky story. I love one.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Of course.
That was definitely the most egregious round and find out we've had.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. But on that note, what's the level of trauma that we got to brace for?
I'm like keeping it pretty light.
Okay.
So my only trigger warning is brief mention of suicide, possible rape and torture. Absolutely no details though. If you made it through the trigger warning, like you're good making it through the rest of the story.
Cool.
I'm like literally just gonna say
BT dubs. Got it.
Yes. All right. So sources: The Times, QCostaRica.com, HowStuffWorks.com, Daily News, YNetNews.com, and Newsweek. So shout out to Johnny for this story. He texted me this, and my immediate response was, there's absolutely no way that's true. Turns out,
I'm excited.
But turns out, it's not completely untrue.
Okay.
So let's get into it. On July 19th, 2023, 2 days before Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer film released, a cartoonist known as Mr. Chow on Twitter posted the following tweet. Quote, learning that Christopher Nolan's fugitive hitman brother's codename is Oppenheimer is actually what turned me around on him entirely as an artist. Immediately made me want to revisit everything, end quote. Unsurprisingly, Chow's tweet went viral with 4.4 million people viewing the post and thousands of comments and retweets. He followed up with, quote, why does he keep making movies about crime and losing your family? Because his brother is a fugitive, end quote. And clarified the brother in question was Christopher's older brother, Matthew Francis Nolan, not his younger brother and frequent collaborator, screenwriter Jonathan Nolan. Everybody is getting a Boo cameo right now.
You know,
for those of you on YouTube, join our YouTube.
Honestly, I'm surprised it took this long.
I know.
Like it's been a month.
I mentioned it at the end of last episode, and then I swear to you, the second after I hit stop on the recording, he jumped right up on my chair. Mm-hmm. And I was like, cool. Yeah. Now, obviously, with the release and success of Christopher Nolan's most recent film, The Odyssey, this rumor has since resurfaced. But the story actually dates back to 2005, 18 years before Oppenheimer was even released. So, a little background on Matthew and the Nolans. Matthew, who goes by Matt, was born in London in 1968 and is the eldest of the Nolan brothers. They had what was described as a quote-unquote cosmopolitan upbringing. Their father was British, so they were primarily raised in London, where they attended private school. But their mother was American, so they also spent much of their childhood in the Chicago suburb of Evanston, Illinois, with her family. All the Nolan siblings have dual British and American citizenship, but Matt was the only one who eventually settled in Chicago, where he worked as a property developer. According to people close to the family, Matt was the most charismatic, likable, and engaging of the three brothers, and he had apparently inherited his father's gift as a storyteller. Ironic, considering he's the only one not in the business of telling stories. In 1999, Matt married a wealthy American woman named Erica in a lavish ceremony at one of the city's most exclusive venues, and the couple went on to have 2 sons together. The family lived in a nice 3-story house in an upper-middle-class neighborhood, which is apparently not far from where the Obamas lived before moving to Washington. But despite their seemingly very comfortable lifestyle, in early 2008, the police started investigating Matt Nolan for a check kiting scheme. Check kiting is a form of check fraud involving taking advantage of the flow provided by a bank to make use of non-existent funds in a bank account. According to Sergeant John Lucky of the Financial Crimes Division of the Chicago Police Department, Matt would write checks on bank accounts in Costa Rica and deposit them with banks in Chicago, then withdraw as much money as he could from the Chicago banks before the Costa Rica checks cleared. Because obviously, the Costa Rica accounts didn't have enough money in them to cover the checks.
Right.
With this scam, police believed he had gotten away with at least $600,000.
Damn.
Yeah, which adjusted for inflation would be just under $1 million today.
Damn.
Yep. And it wasn't long before Lucky realized that Matt Nolan just so happened to be related to the 2 film industry legends of the same name, Christopher and Jonathan Nolan, who were hot at the time.
Yeah.
The Christopher Nolan directed Batman Begins had come out just 3 years earlier in 2005, and the sequel, The Dark Knight, which Jonathan co-wrote, was set to release in December of that year. During his investigation, Lucky discovered that as part of his scam, Matt had claimed to be involved in the financing of The Dark Knight, which, in case you didn't know, was primarily filmed in Chicago, and that he had offered local bankers tickets to the world premiere of the film and visits to the set, and had even promised them rides in the Batmobile. Girl, this story is so crazy, you're not even ready.
I'm certain I'm not. It's such a bummer. And it's a stronger word than that. But to just do everything with your life, like, make your life something, become successful, and then because you're related to someone who's a up, they threaten all of this, and that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. I feel like very easily could have gotten involved in this.
Except I'm going to guess that his brothers under no circumstance would allow him to, because they knew exactly who their brother was.
I was like, maybe. They
because
obviously...
like this doesn't just happen. Like there's a pattern of this that you see like throughout your life.
That's very true.
And it escalates.
They're very tight-lipped about this. They don't talk about him at all. So there's not a lot of information out there.
That's my guess from dealing with family.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. When Lucky started to close it on Matt in late 2008, however, he discovered something even more surprising. Apparently, Matt was also under surveillance by the FBI. Because, turns out, Matt Nolan was wanted for the kidnapping and murder of a 63-year-old American accountant named Robert Cohen in Costa Rica 3 years prior. Holy girl. This story is insane. Like I said, Johnny sent me this and I was like, there's no way that's true. And then I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, was not prepared for that. On March 10th, 2005, a fisherman found Cohen's badly beaten body on the banks of the Chiripo River in Costa Rica. I'm certain that's not the correct pronunciation because I can't roll my R's. Apologies. His pants were around his knees, which is usually a message used by organized crime to say, don't with us.
Mm-hmm.
The autopsy revealed multiple broken bones, fractured vertebra, a fractured sternum, a massive hematoma, and trauma that might be consistent with rape. The report stated that, quote, the victim was tortured before his death, end quote, and that the torture, quote, caused a massive hemorrhage and resulted in death, end quote. Through their investigation, the police were able to determine that Matt was the last person seen with Cohen in Costa Rica 4 days before his death. So, let's rewind. Nolan was introduced to Robert Cohen in early 2005 by a man named Bob Bresca. Bresca was a South Florida gem dealer and multimillionaire who in the late 1970s and early 80s had been a key player in the largest cocaine ring in the history of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Damn.
Yeah, it's already unhinged.
Wow.
Buckle up. Yep. Bresca had been the partner of the cocaine kingpin and mafia boss, Anthony J. Peters, in a gem business called Global Diamonds, and had laundered the profits from the sale of the cocaine through the company. In 1985, Bresca testified against his associates and admitted in court that most of his income came from drug dealing. He was sentenced to 3 years in jail and after serving his time, moved to South Florida and went straight back into the gem trading business. Robert Cohen was Bresca's accountant, specializing in tax accounting. However, his real specialty was tax evasion. He had extensive contracts with banks, entrepreneurs, and politicians in Costa Rica. His business partner was a well-connected lawyer named Mario Quintana, and with his help, Cohen invested millions of dollars from Bresca and other clients in Costa Rican real estate and various other ventures. But in mid-2004, Cohen discovered that the $7 million Bresca had given him to invest was missing, and realized that Quintana had stolen it. Bresca was obviously furious with Cohen about the missing money, and when Quintana was found dead of a gunshot wound in October 2004, Cohen began to fear for his life. According to the autopsy, Quintana had died by suicide, but Cohen was convinced he'd been murdered. Either way, with Quintana dead, Cohen now had absolutely no chance of recovering Bresca's $7 million and feared retaliation from the man who had previously worked for the mafia. Even though he'd burned those bridges by snitching, there was still no telling what Bresca was capable of. Then, in early 2005, Bresca introduced Matt Nolan to Cohen. But he didn't introduce him as Nolan. He introduced him as Matthew Oppenheimer and told Cohen that he was an heir of the insanely wealthy Oppenheimer diamond family, which controls De Beers, the world's largest diamond mining company. Matt told Cohen he had millions of dollars that he wanted to invest in Costa Rica and that he wanted to travel there with him. Shortly after their meeting, Cohen told his daughter Alicia the exciting news that he'd met an Oppenheimer. According to her, her father said he was a young guy, tall, handsome, with blonde hair and blue eyes from a very wealthy family, and described him as a nice guy, very well-spoken, and really charming. Cohen also told her that Oppenheimer, quote, flies under the radar, and had 4 passports under different names. And Alicia...
It's called sus.
Yeah, was like, isn't that illegal?
Mm-hmm. Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes, it is. Because Alicia knows what the is up.
Yep.
But Cohen just rationalized it, telling her he had to go under other names so that people didn't know who he was. Alicia
Okay,
said,
so why do
quote,
you have passports then?
yeah. Yeah. So
This
people
isn't
won't...
meeting someone at a bar. This is a gov.
Girl? Yes. Alicia said, quote, it didn't seem to faze my dad. He was completely convinced that he was Matthew Oppenheimer, end quote. On March 2nd, 2005, Cohen fled to Costa Rica to meet up with Matthew. They booked adjoining rooms at the Real Intercontinental Hotel in the suburbs of San Jose. And on March 4th, Cohen helped, quote unquote, Oppenheimer open a bank account at the Banco Primerica. To open the account, Matthew provided a British passport in the name of Matthew Francis McCall. Still not his real name. He told Cohen that he was going to transfer $12.5 million for Cohen to invest for him. But unsurprisingly, the money was never transferred. CCTV footage showed that on the morning of March 6, 2005, Cohen and Matthew had breakfast at their hotel, then walked out into the parking area together around 6:40 a.m. The two men were seen walking towards a white Toyota 4Runner, then disappeared from view, after which the vehicle left the parking lot. This would be the last time Robert Cohen was seen alive. Alicia said she got a call later that day. When she answered, there was a man shouting in Spanish. Then she heard her father's voice. He told her, quote, Alicia, I need you to listen to me. This is not a movie, end quote. Then the other man came back on the line and started screaming and yelling at her. He gave her a phone number and told her if she gave it to anyone, they would kill her father. According to her father then said, quote, Alicia, they're saying that somebody is using my passport and doing business in my name. And as a result, a lot of money is missing. I love you, end quote. Despite the man's warning, Alicia, feeling like she didn't have a choice and worried they were going to kill her father regardless, gave the number to the FBI. But according to her, the U.S. State Department stonewalled her and told her that because there hadn't been a ransom demand, they couldn't be sure her father had even been kidnapped.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Which is infuriating.
Yeah. You're like, what are you here for? And also, it's like, because it's like, well, it's not like in the U.S. though, so.
But yes, but it's also like, he's a U.S. citizen, so like, you should give a But they don't.
No, they don't.
Alicia said, quote, I was on the phone for 3 days begging people to go look for my dad. It still angers me so much, end quote. On the morning of March 11th, the day after Cohen's body was found, the FBI finally reached out to her. Although she had been holding out hope that her father was still alive, with that call, Alicia immediately knew he was dead. As news of his murder spread, Alicia received a call from Bresca. According to her, he said, quote, Alicia, I am so sorry. I want to tell you something right now. I didn't do it, end quote. Which...
That lady protesting a lot.
Yeah, is an insanely suspicious thing to say. And I'm sorry would suffice.
Yeah.
Yeah. My condolences on your loss.
How can I help during this difficult time?
Yeah.
Is there going to be a viewing? Like any of those. Not I didn't do it.
No.
Well, I think so now, girl.
Right? It was like, I didn't think you were involved until you said that super suspicious sus. Apparently, Bresca also told her he would never go to prison again. Again? Why are you saying
volunteering this information?
Shut your mouth. Just keep your mouth shut.
Did they even know that he'd gone to prison?
Yes. For the cocaine money laundering in the 70s and 80s. Yes.
Still, weird thing to say. No one asked.
Yeah. Again, less is more. Like, just keep your fucking mouth shut.
Always.
A few days later, FBI agents went to Cohen's office and seized his computers and documents. Among them was a letter Cohen had written to his lawyer in October 2004. In it, he admitted that in 1999, he introduced Bresca to Mario Quintana so he could set up shell companies to buy and sell gems while avoiding federal income taxes. Cohen went on to write, quote, I still feel that he, meaning Bresca, is capable of putting my life in danger. If anything were to happen to me, Mr. Bresca would be the person responsible, end quote.
Tell us all this time.
Yep. Over the next few months, prosecutors in Costa Rica and the Orlando office of the FBI continued the investigation into Cohen's murder. They discovered numerous emails between Cohen and Matthew, quote-unquote, Oppenheimer, who had since disappeared. Matthew had provided Cohen with a fake address in Paris, and the UK phone numbers he'd given him turned out to belong to Brendan Nolan, Matt's actual biological father. Yeah. It was then that the FBI realized that Matthew Oppenheimer was actually Matthew Nolan, brother of the famous filmmakers of the same name. Records showed that Matt had been arrested in Chicago and charged once for battery in 1996. They also discovered that Nolan had rented a white Toyota 4Runner on a trip to Costa Rica the month before, using a fake British driving license with the name Matthew Francis McCall. And as you'll recall, that was the vehicle that Cohen was last seen getting into.
Yeah.
During this trip, Nolan had also befriended a bellman at the hotel where he'd stayed named Alonso Mejia and had left the Toyota with him between when he left the country in February and when he returned again with Cohen in March. Costa Rica investigators eventually recovered the Toyota from Mejia and brought him in for questioning regarding Cohen's kidnapping and murder. The investigation determined that Mejia drove Cohen to a small shack in a remote area and tortured him for information on where Bob Bresca's lost $7 million might be hidden. A couple of hours after Cohen was kidnapped, Nolan returned to his hotel and told staff that he had to leave the country because his pregnant wife had become ill in Paris. Unsurprisingly, the FBI later discovered she was not in Paris.
Oh, I'm surprised he had a wife.
Yes, he has a wife and 2 sons. All the while this is going on, and he's like disappearing to Costa Rica. Yeah.
Those poor children. They didn't ask for any of this.
Mm-hmm. Over the next 3 days, Nolan flew from Costa Rica to Houston, then to Paris, then to New York, then to Miami, close to where Bresca lived. The FBI believed that Nolan may have flown to Europe because Cohen might have given him details of bank accounts, most likely false to try to buy time.
Right.
Yep, in which he said the money was hidden. On March 9th, Nolan returned to Costa Rica. According to Costa Rica prosecutors, he then drove to the shack where Cohen was being held. They alleged that he and Mejia continued torturing Cohen before murdering him and dumping his body. Just hours after his body was found, Nolan left Costa Rica and flew to LA, where his brothers live. An Interpol red notice was issued for Nolan for his involvement with Cohen's murder and kidnapping, which resulted in him being briefly detained in January 2006 when he arrived at the airport in Atlanta, Georgia. He was ultimately released, but FBI Special Agent Pablo Arrea in Chicago was tasked with keeping an eye on him. 18 months after Cohen's murder, in late 2006, a Chicago businessman named Tom Sedlacek met with Nolan, who was looking to take out a loan. Over the next year, the two became close, and Tom considered him a friend, visiting him at home and meeting his wife and children. He said, quote, "Matt is a very easy person to like. He is very friendly and charming, and he always seemed like a very decent, well-educated person," end quote. Tom had no idea that Nolan was an international fugitive wanted for murder in Costa Rica. But apparently, Nolan was quite the storyteller. He told Tom that he'd been in British Special Forces and was active in military intelligence, and that he had recently been called up and deployed to Afghanistan on top secret missions.
You don't tell people that.
If they're top secret, you keep your mouth shut. That's the whole point.
Yes. You don't and
Yes.
That's the tale as old as time. It's don't tell anyone, but I'm in the CIA. Don't tell anyone. And it's
But
like,
I'm telling you.
You're telling everyone though.
Because we're so close. Yes. Yes. I could not find any information that verified that any of that was true. I don't think it was.
I think it's safe to assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just throwing it out there.
Sure.
Nolan said he was trained in international investigations, including locating bank accounts in foreign countries and recovering those assets. And he had a contract for recovering funds for a client in Florida named Bob Bresca. Nolan told him that he'd identified a number of offshore accounts with well over $100 million hidden in them, and that he was close to recovering the money, 40% of which he would keep as his finder's fee. He brought Tom to his office in Chicago and showed him how he was able to tap into the Swift International money transfer system on his computer. But Nolan told him that he'd also already spent the retainer Brusca had given him, and he needed a short-term loan. So Tom lent him another $600,000.
Jesus Christ.
Alicia Cohen said that around that time, quote, somebody pretending to be my father was opening bank accounts all over the place. I believe it was Nolan doing anything he could to try to find Brusca's missing millions. End
Sure.
quote.
Mm-hmm.
Tom said, looking back, there were definitely some red flags,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a bit of an understatement.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Apparently, Nolan frequently changed phone numbers and had asked him for help getting a fake passport.
Girl.
Yep. He would also often
Oh.
disappear, sometimes for months at a time. But again, he also told him he was in special forces and he is doing top secret things. So he's like, okay, that
And
makes
I'm so
sense.
special that he's sharing this top secret information with me.
Yes. Yes.
Girl, no.
Girl, no.
Mm-mm.
As time went on, it became clear that Nolan was having trouble recovering Brusca's money. And he started to confide in Tom. Nolan told him that he believed that Brusca was double-crossing him and that Robert Cohen, Brusca's accountant, had been killed in Costa Rica under mysterious circumstances. And, quote, it was causing difficulty for Matt because his name had got caught up in the investigations, end quote.
For me.
Yeah. By the end of 2008, Nolan had seemingly disappeared. But in January 2009, he was forced to file for bankruptcy, apparently owing $2.25 million in debt.
Yeah, that's about right.
And by that time, a U.S. arrest warrant had been issued seeking to extradite Nolan to Costa Rica for Cohen's murder. FBI agent Araya set up surveillance at Nolan's home. He said, quote, I saw his wife, his kids, his nanny, and his mother-in-law, but I never saw him. He was hiding in Florida. He knew we were after him, end quote. Araya worried Nolan would be difficult to arrest because he heard that he might have been in British Special Forces and seemed to be very savvy about surveillance, covering his tracks and using multiple aliases. When he found out that Nolan was due to appear in bankruptcy court on February 26, 2009, Araya knew he had the perfect opportunity to arrest him.
Mm-hmm.
Nolan would have to attend the hearing in the federal courthouse in downtown Chicago in person, and he wouldn't be able to take a weapon in. As Nolan left the courthouse, Araya arrested Nolan and took him into custody. Araya said, quote, he's very arrogant. He told me I'd never have caught him if it wasn't for the bankruptcy, end quote. After he was finally arrested, 4 years after Cohen's murder, Nolan was taken to the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago, where he was held mostly in solitary confinement until the U.S. determined whether he would be extradited to Costa Rica to stand trial. He remained silent regarding the charges against him, except to deny his guilt. On October 31st, 2009, a U.S. judge ruled that Nolan could not be extradited to Costa Rica for aggravated homicide or kidnapping,
For
the
why?
two most serious charges. I'm going to get into it. But they said he could be extradited for use of a false document, the fake British passport he had used to open a bank account in Costa Rica. So the judge said, quote, what is lacking is evidence that Brusca retained Nolan as a hired killer, that Nolan planned to kidnap and murder Cohen, that Nolan was aware of, let alone ordered, Mejia's actions, or that Nolan engaged in any violent act. Costa Rica did not submit any physical evidence, witness statement, or any other evidence demonstrating that Nolan, as opposed to Mejia, used violence against Cohen or took any action that deprived Cohen of his freedom. There is no physical evidence suggesting that Nolan tortured Cohen or engaged in any actions that caused his death. End quote.
Okay.
So that was their reasoning. I don't know if maybe it was because the extradition documents seemed very certain that Bresca hired him as a hitman.
Like a hired gun.
basically.
Yeah.
And that was very clearly not the case.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to being like, he just killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. For money.
He hired him to get the assets back and to get the information. What is crazy to me is he definitely seems like he could have been extradited for, at minimum, the kidnapping.
Yes.
He was the last person seen with him getting into the car.
Unless that's one of those things that they weren't trying to get him for kidnapping. They were just trying to get him for the other thing. And they're like, well, since you didn't try and get him for kidnapping, we can't extradite him.
They were trying to get him for both. And I don't know if it was maybe has to be both, couldn't be one or the other situation.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe because they knew each other. So on the CCTV footage, he just gets into the car with him. It's not like there's a struggle and all of this. So, it could have argued that Mejia had done all of it and carjacked him and all this. I don't know. But they determined that he could not be extradited based on what the Costa Rica prosecutors sent over. When asked how Nolan had escaped extradition, Agent Arias said, quote, "I do not know how he paid for his defense. He was going through bankruptcy. Someone paid for a high-powered attorney," end quote.
Yeah.
Yep. The court did approve his extradition on the false passport charges, which he could face up to 6 years in prison for if convicted. And Nolan was terrified of being sent to Costa Rica, writing to an unnamed friend, quote, "If they get me down to the Southern Cross, I won't be coming back," end quote. In March or April, depending on the source, of 2010, Nolan was caught with contraband, indicating he planned to attempt an escape from the Metropolitan Correctional Center, a notoriously difficult prison to escape from, and from which there has never been a successful jailbreak.
Oh.
Guards discovered 31 feet of improvised rope, which had been braided together from bedding, a makeshift harness, a metal clip of a pen cap, which Nolan manipulated to make a handcuff key, and a razor blade hidden in a bar of soap. Araya said, quote, "It was make-believe stuff. Prison guards had his cell turned over, and he had ropes made up. The guards said it was the best rope they had ever seen made," end quote. Local newspapers, unsurprisingly, described it as a, quote, Batman-like escape attempt.
Of course. Yes,
Of course.
and because it's Chicago, Gotham,
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, I really cut back on all the, connections to the Nolan films. I'll get into it a little bit later, but, every article is, nonstop with this to the point that you're just all right, guys, pull it back.
We get it. Okay.
Relax.
Also, Christopher Nolan didn't do this. It's just his brother being a...
He's just related to the guy. So this was obviously a nod to his brother's work. Nolan pleaded guilty to possessing contraband and obstruction of justice, and in July of 2010, he was sentenced to 14 months in prison as a result. He was required to serve his sentence in the U.S. before he could be extradited. But later that year, the Costa Rican authorities dropped their request for Nolan's extradition. A spokeswoman for Costa Rica's public ministry said they dropped the extradition action only because the use of a false passport was secondary to the main ones, which were murder and kidnapping. Which, I get, but also, at least get him on something. At least get him to serve 6 years down there. Don't just be we didn't get him on the thing, so, I guess you just won't have any repercussions.
I mean, that sounds to me like palms were greased. I don't know anything, but...
There is no proof of that, but that would not surprise me.
Yeah.
It does not appear as though Nolan was ever charged regarding his check kiting scheme.
Mm-hmm.
I could not find anything about that, even though he was being investigated by that.
Yeah.
By the Chicago police.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Again, It's like, were more palms greased? I have no idea. In 2014, Nolan sued the United States.
Of course he did.
Accusing the Bureau of Prisons of, quote, physical, psychological, and psychiatric injury, end quote. Which,
Yep.
the audacity.
Yeah.
The case dragged on for several years, but its final outcome has been hidden from public record. Although Alicia Cohen is furious that Nolan never stood trial for her father's murder, she believes that he didn't die in vain. She said, quote, "My dad's murder opened up a huge Pandora's box. We were told 3 years ago that this had far-reaching tentacles worldwide. I think his death will help uncover something which is larger than you and I can imagine. This is far from closed," end quote. Because of what she and her family went through in 2007, Alicia, who lives in Orlando, championed legislation in Florida that gives $25,000 to the families of people killed outside the U.S. to help with the aftermath. Nobody in the Nolan family, including Christopher and Jonathan, have commented publicly on their brother, whose real-life experiences have frequently been compared to the Nolan's films, with one person commenting, quote, "I wonder how much of Nolan's filmography is him trying to understand his brother and why he did what he did," end quote. From what I can tell, Matthew Nolan is currently a free man, living with his wife and sons in a, quote, substantial 4-bedroom townhouse in Chicago, end
That's
quote.
Wild.
Yeah. Mejia, on the other hand, was tried and convicted in 2007 and sentenced to 27 years in prison for Cohen's kidnapping and murder. And that is the story of Matthew Nolan and the murder of Robert Cohen.
That is so crazy. I knew none of that.
So crazy. So, was Matthew Nolan a hitman? It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
Although the extradition request described him as a hired killer contracted to kidnap and torture Cohen, it seems like he was just hired to recover Bresca's assets. It's unproven whether he directly tortured or killed Cohen. And to be honest, it's kind of unclear whether Cohen's death was even intentional to begin with, or if they just took the torture too far.
Yeah.
And then they were like, now we
Also,
gotta deal
you don't
with
need
the
to
dead
torture
body.
anybody.
Yeah. Did he go by the name Oppenheimer? Yes. But it wasn't his like hitman code name. It was an alias to make it seem like he was related to the Oppenheimer diamond family and had nothing to do with the scientist of the same name or his brother's movie.
Yeah.
So like there is some truth to this story. But as Newsweek put it, it needs context on their like fact checker thing.
For sure.
But yeah, Johnny sent me this and I was like, there's absolutely no way that's true. Like 0%. And then I dug into it and I was like,
true enough.
Crazier than I thought it was going to be. There was more truth to that than I was expecting. So
that's crazy.
Crazy.
I feel really bad for the Nolan family, honestly, and Cohen's daughter.
I know. There's no justice in this.
No.
And like, yeah. It's one of those things like having a wealthy family and like people with names to bail you out goes a long way, dude. If he was just some guy.
Oh, yeah. He'd be in the clink forever.
Who was in debt, who didn't know anybody or have, again, people with money to fall back on. Like, this dude would be rotting in a Costa Rican prison right now, if not dead.
But it's also the audacity of like, do you know who my brother is? You know, that nonsense. Yeah. This guy sucks.
Yeah.
It's been an episode full of people.
Yeah, it really has.
So go out and not be a person today.
Yes, please.
But you're not a person and I adore you.
Thank you. You're not a person and I adore you.
Thank you. I loved your story.
Thank you.
That's wild. I've heard 0% of it. I'd never heard of this before.
Yes. Apparently it's making the rounds. So if you guys listen to this and you see this on the internet, now you know the truth.
The whole shebang.
Story. So again, don't believe everything you just read on the internet. Do the research.
Don't just read the headline.
Yes. Girl, yes.
Yeah. But I adore you so much.
I adore you. Thank you so much for your story. I loved, hate listening to Trina get told off by these ghosts.
I mean, Team Gettysburg ghosts all the way.
Yes. No, I love that. No, I fully support the ghosts.
100%. 100%. Yeah. But I adore you. We adore you. This is another horror podcast. I'm Monique Sanchez.
And I'm Amy Trina.
You can find the show on the gram at another horror podcast. Also, if you're listening to us, you can see our faces and my eye rolls at Trina's nonsense on our YouTube channel, another horror podcast with a without the U. But if you want the uncensored version, check us out on our Patreon, which you can find on our website, anotherhorrorpodcast.com. They're starting at $6.66. You can get Patreon exclusive episodes, including this one, uncensored. We also have on there our merch store. And when we tickets to live shows, they have another one this year, but I don't know. We'll see. We also have our True Listener Tales episode coming up, where every 6th episode we do a True Listener Tales where we read your true crazy stories. So if you have one or you just want to say hi, you can email us using our contact form on our website. And we always love finding out what crazy you guys have been through.
Yes.
And if you're liking the show, we'd love it if you told a friend, and if you would rate, review, and subscribe. And if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we will send you over a free Another Horror Podcast tote as a token of our love and appreciation from our cold little black hearts. But guys, we're obsessed with you. Don't be trash like Trina and Matt. But as always, keep it cute.
Keep it creepy.
Bye.